A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Houston Chronicle News columnist Joy Sowing and David Branham, professor of political science at the University of Houston downtown. Joy, David, welcome to Houston Matters.
Hi, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
Panel, Houston City Council voted Wednesday to refer a proposal to extend the city's parking meter enforcement times to committee for further study. Under Proposition A, which voters approved last November, 3 council members can add any topic to council's agenda. But in this case, a Proposition A committee Mayor Whitmire's established to vet and refine proposals will study the idea from council members Edward Pollard, Tiffany Thomas, and Fred Flickinger before the full council will vote on it. Among initial concerns about extending parking meter hours from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Monday through Saturday, the impact on small businesses and workers, and whether fewer Houstonians would attend performing arts venues without free evening parking available. According to the Houston Chronicle's Abby Church, a map provided by Park Houston shows none of the 3 council members who brought the idea up have any parking meters in their districts. A plan to extend parking meter enforcement most nights in the city of Houston will get further study before it's considered. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Joy Sowing.
I think it's a good thing. Anytime we can take a little pause and investigate or evaluate or analyze the issue. It's interesting that 3 council members don't have any parking meters in their districts. And as someone who frequents downtown and has to pay for a parking meter occasionally, I would like them to do a study. I would like them to really look at this and see if this is a viable option and how will it impact small businesses. Before City Council votes on something that will really kind of change, it looks like, the landscape of people parking downtown, that they take some time and evaluate this. So I think it's a good thing.
All right. Good, bad, or ugly. David Branham.
I think the study is good. I'm very leery about the proposals, but the study is good. As far as the 3 council members not having meters in their district, it's because they don't have 40-story buildings in their district, and they're not trying to pack 1 million people all in the same place.
Right.
But that's something that should be thought about here. On weekends at 2 a.m., we're not trying to pack 1 million people in the city of Houston either. So the reason why the parking meters are not in use or are being used is because there isn't a high demand for parking. These are public goods, and public goods are open to the public. And in all honesty, the only time you should be charging a fee for those public goods is if there's so much congestion that we need to lower the demand for those things. And that's the reason why in most cases we look for working hours to put the parking meters there. It's not because we want to be mean to the people who work. It's because those slots are in high demand. I mean, it's the same way on toll roads. I don't understand the toll road policy in Houston or in Texas for that matter. We are putting toll roads on empty streets, and people are using the feeder to get around it. How many of you use the feeder to get around paying a toll?
Me.
So that, it's just silly. And what happens is that we have a perfectly good resource. There's no cost for you driving your car on a freeway. Matter of fact, if you want to see a road deteriorate, just shut it down for 2 years and see what happens to it. The best thing for a road is for cars to drive on it. And now we're putting a toll up on an empty road in the middle of nowhere to make people pay to get on a road that they're trying to get around. I mean, for instance, I have to go pick up my daughter at Texas A&M later this afternoon. I'm not going to go up 249 because I don't want to pay all those extra tolls. I'm going to take 290 to 6 and take 6 into College Station. It's 6 or 7 miles further, but it's a lot less money. So the resource that's there waiting for me, a public good, is not getting used. I think this is just a really bad idea. I understand. The city of Houston needs revenue. It needs revenue badly. The city's been broke for pretty much as long as I can remember looking at the budgets. It's not getting better. We have to do something to help the city. There's got to be some way to get the revenue in. But this just doesn't seem like a good way to do it to me. So I'm hopeful that the study is good. I'm hopeful that we're not putting meters on parking spots where they're going to be empty because people are passing up because they have to pay. So I'm hopeful we're smart enough to avoid that and allow people to park there when there's no one else there. and that we can go on and find a better way to get revenue for the city of Houston.
Have any suggestions? Bake sale? What are we talking about?
Lemonade stand.
Cakewalk.
Well, I used to work for water production, and I would not suggest higher water prices than we're already proposing. But, I mean, it's really tough to figure out how to get revenue. My former professor, Dr. Richard Murray, used to talk about the Houston mayoral races. And he says, I don't know why anyone wants to be mayor of Houston. I mean, it's just got to be the most impossible job in the world. And yet every election, people are fighting for it. It's hard to run a city when you don't have the revenue to actually run it. When I was working for water production, we had a pretty good working staff. After I left, they stripped that staff down to where there was basically one person working at any time. And there was a time when a person actually had a heart attack and died on the job, and he was just there for hours because no one else was around.
Oh my.
So when you get down to the bare minimum of what you can do as far as resources go, and you don't have the revenue, it's very hard to figure out what to do. I don't have any really good suggestions, and if I did, I think they probably would have already been thought of, and they would have used them. I'm pretty close to Fred Flickinger, who's the city councilman in Kingwood, and I know that he's constantly trying to figure out ways to have any extra revenue or any cost savings that he can get. And he is very frustrated from what I can see. And he's a new council member. He's trying to help, and he just doesn't see a really good picture going ahead when it comes to revenue in the city of Houston.
I would think I would disagree with you in terms of not trying this option or that it's a bad option in terms of extending the parking. Because, downtown you have the clubs, you have, the convention center, you have a lot of conventions coming in, people using the street, people parking on the street, all kinds of events going on. I could see them extending the parking, and I could see that it being a revenue source. And I don't know how much of downtown is not used in terms of parking. But the places where I've used it, it's being used.
I would agree with you if there's congestion.
Yeah.
It's about congestion. You charge for public goods when there's congestion to relieve the congestion, and then you take that extra money that you get and you invest it in relieving congestion for the other people who would have been there if the toll wasn't there. There are times when there's high demand, and those are the times when I think you should have those meters up, just like you said. At 2 a.m. on a regular night when no one's around.
On a Monday night, on a school night.
If somebody needs to go and park for a few minutes, I don't think they should have to pay, if there's 50 parking spots there and no one's in the parking lot.
Right.
But if there's high demand, then absolutely, I agree with you.
What I heard was to relieve congestion, you charge for parking. Therefore, Joy, you were telling us before we started that you were feeling a little congested.
Exactly.
You need to do the parking charges. Problem solved.
There you go. There you go.
Panel, by the time this conversation airs on Friday's Houston Matters, our next topic may not exist anymore. I speak of the Montrose area home featured in the 1994 film Reality Bites. As Houston Public Media's Adam Zuvanich reported this week, if it hasn't already happened any day now, the vacant building at 409 West Clay Street is being demolished, just like two neighboring fourplexes. The building was the fictional home of characters portrayed in the Gen X classic Reality Bites, filmed largely here in Houston, starring Winona Ryder, Ethan Hawke, and Ben Stiller. North Montrose Civic Association President Lloyd Matzner tells Houston Public Media he believes the property owners plan to use the land for a townhome development, a common replacement for other old fourplexes in the neighborhood. The Reality Bites home is, or is about to be, just a memory. Is this good, bad, or ugly? David?
I'm going to go good. Look at Joy's face. Everybody should see Joy's face right now. This is one time this should be on TV. Because she just said 1,000 words with one expression.
Give him a chance.
All right, I'm listening.
No.
I'm listening. Oh, no. I'm listening.
It's okay. No, I think it's good. I'm not saying it's good to tear down houses and so forth, but I don't think we should keep it up because Reality Bites was filmed there. Now, Reality Bites is a film that I can really relate to. Matter of fact, I probably went to graduate school with 30 students who would have fit perfectly within that film. They were probably sitting next door when it was being filmed, and they look and sound just like the characters, Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke. And it's a good movie for us to see and remember a really good time. Graduate School was a good time in my life. That movie takes me back there. But I don't think the house needs to stay just because it was part of the movie. I mean, what made the movie great was the characters and the time and so forth. I'm a baseball fan. I love baseball. If I was living in the 1950s, the first three things on my list would be to see a game in the Polo Grounds, in Ebbets Field, and Sportsman's Park. Those are my three that I would go to. But I don't want those fields to be there right now. Fenway Park is fine. It's being used. Wrigley Field is fine. It's being used. It's on a daily basis. It's being constantly upgraded to the needs of the time. I don't want for something to just sit there, like Shibe Park sit there in Philadelphia and basically fell down in front of everybody's eyes. I don't think we need to do that. I think it's okay when time comes to knock down the building, let's knock it down. As you could probably guess, I'm not for keeping the Astrodome up. I think it's probably time for it to be knocked down. But it doesn't take away the memories. It doesn't take. We have film. It's it's fantastic that we have those memories in that film. But I'm sorry, it's time for the building to go.
Man, David's reality bites, doesn't it?
Oh, my God, right. My thoughts on Reality Bites. I agree with you. I don't think it should stay up because of Reality Bites. I actually have never seen the movie. That didn't resonate with me. What resonated with me when I saw the picture is that this architecture is something that we are losing very rapidly here in Houston. We tear down old structures. I even went to look up the address on the Harris County site to find out when it was built, because I would imagine it was probably, 1920s, 30s, something like that. And, those homes are very hard to find here. And I think there is, something to be said about preserving that type of architecture in a city that has no zoning, that really could care less about old homes, that is quick to put up a townhome in lieu of something like this. So that's why I say this is a bad thing. It didn't look like it was falling apart. It didn't look like it was crumbling. It didn't look like it was a nuisance to the community.
I would say from the outside.
From the outside.
My understanding is it really fallen into disrepair on the inside.
Okay.
I don't know if that has any influence on anything.
Well, there are a lot of people who support that type of architecture, who will take that on as an investment project and renovate it and rent it out continually. So, I just think, I hate seeing old homes that have that kind of character just go by the wayside and replaced by townhomes. Although I have a lot of friends in townhomes, so
your friends need a place to live, Joy.
But now, if this is Prince's home, I would be right out in front with a big old, in front of any kind of bulldozer, saying, you're gonna have to get past me. So,
well, that's funny, yeah. I'm in the Prince Club because him and I were the same height. Oh. So. Although I outweighed him by a good 50 pounds.
That's good.
This is what it sounds like when the doves laugh.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
I do the best I can. Joy Sewing is a news columnist with the Houston Chronicle. David Branham is a professor of political science at the University of Houston downtown. Joy, David, thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.